Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome into Gamecock Central. Kendall Smith and Jack Veltri coming at you live. It's another edition of GC Live, and Jack, it is the bye week for South Carolina. So not talking necessarily about a game on this GC Live, but we're going to kind of talk about the season as a whole so far, what is to come for South Carolina, what has already been, and of course, for all of our wonderful listeners and watchers out there, please feel free to ask us questions. Let us know what you think because we are just going to chat about it all this morning. We hope that you're doing super well as you tune in to this episode of GC Live. And Jack, I hope that you're doing well too. It's the bye week. I know that you're not exactly experiencing too much of a break, but what are your plans for the weekend? You don't have to be at a football game.
I know. Well, yeah, I was talking about this on Sunday on my live stream. I'm going to a football game. Can you guess where?
I'm going to guess Marshall.
No, I wish.
You went to Marshall games a lot last year because of your brother.
I did, and now he's at Clemson. So I'm going to Clemson Stanford on Saturday. So I've never been to a Clemson game before. I know. It's wild. It's wild.
Wow.
So, but hold on. Before you assume anything or anyone else for that matter, I am not wearing orange. It's not happening. Not rooting for Clemson. So I'm just there to have a good time with
Jack.
I know.
I cannot believe that you are openly admitting that right here, right now on GC Live.
Oh yeah, but you know what?
Is crazy. You guys heard it here first. Jack is going to the Clemson game this weekend.
I could care less about the game. Like I don't like Clemson. Whatever. Who cares? Like they're Clemson, and then like Stanford. Let's see Stanford win. But it'll be a good time. Never been, so it'll be fun.
Okay, so this was happening to me and Wes the other day on
thumbs down.
I did not mean to give a thumbs down, but I guess in the context of the situation, it actually worked out perfectly. When I randomly move my hand, sometimes it'll give a thumbs up. That was the first time I've seen a thumbs down. It did fireworks the other day. So StreamYard is just having a little mind of its own here on this Wednesday morning. You heard what Jack is up to during the bye week. Let us know what you guys are up to.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's certainly less stressful. I feel like I'm going into this weekend with a little bit more of a relaxed mindset. You don't have to worry about a South Carolina game, but I'm already thinking ahead to the Ole Miss game on October 5th at Williams-Brice Stadium. We're going to get into everything about South Carolina, but I want to talk about that game time. Jack and I were texting about it. On Monday, I texted Jack. I'm like, when do you think this game is going to be? I need to know because I'm trying to set up my yoga class on Saturday morning. Yes, very valid reasons for wanting to know the time of a game. And Jack thought it would be at night. I texted Wes. Wes thought it would be at night. I thought, honestly, the game would be at night, but we get a 3:30 start.
Ugh.
And I don't know. I think that people are probably disappointed that it's not a night start, but I'm not mad at the 3:30 start. It's better than a noon, but covering the game at 3:30 is the worst because then your morning is ruined and your night is ruined.
Oh, tell me about it. It's awful. I mean, I would take a noon kick over a 3:30 kick, honestly. I mean, from a fan's perspective, it's fine because like who on earth likes a noon kickoff? I mean, imagine how people feel in like Central Time, like at Alabama when you have an 11 a.m. kickoff. Like that's awful. Yeah. So 3:30 is like that good, but for reporting, it's awful. It's horrible because you miss all the noon games, you miss all the 3:30 games, and you practically miss the start of any of the 7:30 games. So it's really a no-win situation. And I mean, the only games you can really watch are the night games, like at 10 o'clock or whatever, when Pac-12 After Dark was a thing. But so it is what it is. But hey, I really thought it was going to be a night game. Honestly, like everyone I was talking to, like it was going to be night game. And the fact that Tennessee and Arkansas is instead the night game, that's a little weird to me. I mean, it's Arkansas we're talking about. Tennessee's great, but Arkansas, what? Like, I don't know. So,
yeah, I don't know why that was the decision that was made, but there's obviously strategy to why they're doing all of this with the TV channels and the ratings and who they think is going to draw more, so on and so forth. But yeah, the 3:30 kick for me as someone who's just going to the game, I feel like isn't that bad. Wes, What are you doing?
Boo!
Let's go ahead and get the thumbs down.
Yeah, get the big thumbs down for this guy.
Yes, Wes actually wanted it to be a night game for anyone that's tuning in. So he's saying that we're whining, but I believe he was the one that was whining the other day that it wasn't a night game. However, yes, a 3:30 kick when you're just chilling, watching the game like I will be tailgating at Gamecock Park, it's good. If you're reporting, I don't think people necessarily realize this side of things, but you have to get there hours before the game. So you're getting there at noon, whenever. And that means that you have to get up in the morning, get to catch the last part of college game day, and then you're on the road to wherever you're going. For you, it will be Williams-Brice Stadium. Game ends at 7:00. Okay, then you're waiting for post-game pressers. Then you're doing that, and then you're getting your videos or whatever together. You're not going to leave there until 9:30, and then you're catching, like you said, the second half of all of those night games. So it is a little bit harder to report in that time frame. But anyways, we won't talk too much more about the game being at 3:30. I just thought it was interesting because I think a lot of people were in that mindset of, yeah, this will probably be a night game. Ole Miss, South Carolina. Ole Miss, obviously one of the best teams in the country, and South Carolina making a name for themselves as well. 3-1 on the season, though, for the Gamecocks. A big win over Akron. I want to talk about Robbie Ashford to start off the show. We talked about him a lot last week. When we were doing the podcast last week, it was kind of like, will Lenoris play? Will he not play? We both thought he wouldn't play. Of course, he doesn't play. Robbie Ashford comes in, and he has a great game for South Carolina. And of course, you're playing against Akron, but you have to give a ton of credit where credit is due. He comes in, South Carolina runs up the score. The offense looks good. They look great in all three phases. You're rocking and rolling as the Gamecocks. What'd you think of Ashford on Saturday, Jack?
He played very well. I can't even lie. Like, I mean, I figured with everything going on and the fact that it's Akron, Lenoris probably wouldn't start, and ultimately he didn't even really dress out, to be honest, in pads or anything. So, look, it was good to see Ashford get out there. I know the sample size before that game was small because he played that one half against LSU, and you're thinking like, oh, this guy can't throw the ball and all this and that, and he went 15 of 21 for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I think the game plan it wasn't changed up a ton, in my opinion. I thought they still took some deep shots and ultimately did because he threw a ton of good balls out deep. I mean, his accuracy isn't like the best when he's throwing it like 30, 40 yards, but he gets it there enough to where it's like, okay, the receiver can make a play on the ball. And I mean, you talk about what he's done in the run game too. I mean, 16 carries, 133 yards, a touchdown. I mean, look, he really showed out and did what he had to do. And look, if South Carolina is ever in this position again where they need somebody to step up, I would feel good about Robbie Ashford coming in. And I know people are going to say that it's Akron and stuff, and you're supposed to do this against Akron. Well, I mean, look, it doesn't matter who it's against. You need to see that you have a backup quarterback that can basically do just as well, if not better, than Lenoris Sellers can, and give you that confidence that, like, okay, if this ever happens again, that Sellers gets hurt, because he's already gotten hurt twice this season, what's to stop him from getting hurt again? You have a really good, solid backup in Robbie Ashford. And then Davis Beville even played well too. I mean, he went 4-6 for a touchdown as well. So the point is that Carolina has options at quarterback now, and I think that's a really good problem to have if you're Shane Beamer.
So you look at it and you see how Robbie Ashford did, and you feel really, really good about that because, like you said, you have options if you're Shane Beamer and Dowell Loggins making those decisions for your offense. But then you look ahead to Ole Miss, and obviously the plan was to give Lenoris more time to reset, to get his strength back, to feel better so he can be prepared for that Ole Miss game. But are you worried a little bit, Jack, if you're Shane Beamer, that Lenoris Sellers has not played in several weeks when he goes out to start against a team like Ole Miss, where you don't have room at the beginning of the game to falter? You don't have room to ease into it. You have to start quick. You have to start fast, and you have to get things going off the jump if you even want a chance against a team like Ole Miss.
Yeah, I got asked about that on Sunday, and I honestly, when I was asked about it, I kind of thought like, I think he'll be okay. But it is a good question because it's like, okay, like this, if he plays next Saturday, it'll be his first action since the LSU game. And I mean, look, I think the big thing is he's got to be able to practice and get, back into the swing of things, essentially. Like, I'm not saying he's got to get sacked or whatever in practice, but he's got to get a little bit, little hit here and there, throwing some good balls, getting everything back. It's like, for analogy purposes here, let's say you haven't rode a bike in like, a year or whatever. You just get back out there. Takes a second to, straighten out, but eventually you do. That's kind of what I'm thinking here, is that it might take a hot second in the first quarter or whatever, but once he kind of gets to that first or second series, it'll be like, okay, he's good to go. It's kind of the same situation, honestly, like when he was, named the starter to begin with. It took a little bit of time for him to get his feet under him, but once he did, I mean, we saw what he did in the Kentucky game and the Ole Miss game, or I'm sorry, the LSU game. So I think he'll be all right. It's just, it might take a series or two. And he's going to have to get going quickly here, because that Ole Miss defense, they can certainly come out to play.
And the scariest part is you don't know if you're going to have a series or two really to get into the swing of things. I mean, if you are South Carolina, you know what this Ole Miss team is and you know what they have. And yeah, they haven't really played anybody this year. I mean, they went to Wake Forest and played Wake Forest, and that's really their only Power 5 team that they've faced off against so far this season. So yes, they have not had a tough schedule leading up to this point in playing South Carolina. South Carolina has already had to face several SEC opponents, and in each game, minus the Old Dominion game where they got off to a really slow start, and that game was way too close for comfort, and a lot of people were certainly disappointed with the way that game went. Outside of that game, you're looking at what South Carolina has done holistically since then, and I think if you're a Gamecock, you're satisfied for the most part. We won't get into the whole LSU situation, but a lot of areas of that game, certainly something to look at as a bright spot for South Carolina. So yes, you're looking at it as a whole, but I kind of see it, you did the bike analogy. I see it as kind of like a running analogy. So if you're running for a long period of time and you're gearing up for a half marathon or a marathon, and then you stop for a little while, it's a little bit harder to kind of ease back into that. But like you said, it's all about the practice. It's all about the film. It's all about making sure that you're prepped. And then if you have guys around you that are able to create as well, if your offensive line is able to give you some time, if you're able to get the running backs going, your receivers are doing what they need to do, it's not just all about Lenora Sellers coming out there and showing out from the jump. It's a whole group effort. So you're going to need everybody to be clicking on all cylinders and on the same page in that Ole Miss game. And I think that really is a key when we look at keys for that game. I think it is getting off to a fast start if you're South Carolina. Do you?
Yeah, totally. You definitely want to get off to a fast start in this game. And to kind of answer some of these questions here, William Jones asks, does Dowloggins have more confidence in Ashford passing the ball? Yeah, I would definitely say so. I think, again, Shane talked about, I think, on Sunday in his teleconference, they didn't really change the plan offensively speaking. Like, whatever they would do for Lenoris, they pretty much did with Robbie. And, granted, both quarterbacks are a little different in the fact that, me personally, I think Lenoris has a better deep ball and stuff, but they still called some good deep passes for Ashford, and he connected on a few of them. So I definitely feel like this game specifically against Akron, they had a lot of confidence in him throwing the ball. And got another question here. Is Davis Bevel gone after this year? Yep, this is his 6th year. And then we got a question from Big Red. Why did Dante Reno only need the ball against Akron? I'm pretty sure he was just in for that final series in general. So they ran the ball a few times and then he needed it out. So it's just to get him in and stuff, I think, because it's a blowout. But I think the offense, right now with Robbie Ashford looks pretty good. Like, I don't really think they missed a beat at all, Kendall. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and look, I know it's against Akron, so that's probably why I'm saying this, but like, I think he kind of, statistically speaking, he had a better day than Sellers has had all year. I mean, you look at the numbers, it's not wrong in my opinion. I mean, it's just he had a really good game, and I think that is a huge confidence booster for what can happen going forward. Because I mean, there's not going to be a quarterback competition here. Sellers is still the guy, but it makes you feel much better and happier that you have a guy like Robbie that can do all these things that Sellers can do. And in some cases, I mean, he can be just as good as him potentially.
That is what you're longing for if you're South Carolina. And we've talked about this over the years. When you look at teams like Georgia, when you look at teams like Alabama, that's what they have, right? So it's you have your starting quarterback, you have your guy, and this is the same for other position groups as well. You have your starters and you have your main people, but then behind them, you have people that you're super, super confident in. So that's where you want to be if you're South Carolina. Your backups, your third strings, you're like, all right, I'm still feeling good about this if we have to go this route. But before we go any further, Jack, we got to give a shout out to our main sponsor of this show, our presenting partner here on GC Live. It is Clint Hammond with CMG Home Loans. Clint is the best. He has always supported us here at Gamecock Central. And tell them how they can reach out to Clint if they want to, Jack.
Yeah, so the housing market it's something right now, isn't it? But anyway, so if you're in the need for buying a home, or you just need help with your mortgage, or whatever the case might be, any home needs, Clint is your guy to call. He's been in the mortgage industry for, probably as long as you or I have been alive, honestly, probably longer. And he's been a lifelong Gamecock fan, longtime supporter of Gamecock Central. That dates back well before either of us started with GC. And he has always been good. And, he has helped out our very own Wes Mitchell, who I don't know if he's listening, but Wes can vouch for this. And he's also helped out former Gamecock quarterback Perry Orth. So definitely give Clint a call if you can or want to. 803-422-6797. Right above us on screen here. The NMLS number for him is 71597. And you can also go to ClintHammond.com to reach out to Clint. So again, want to thank you, Clint, for always sponsoring and being a great partner of this show and all other GC Live shows.
GC has been around since 1998, if I am correct.
You are.
Who's older, me or you? I think we're very close in age.
So we're both 2000, right?
Yes.
All right. So when were you born in 2000?
August 15th.
I'm older than you I'm July 4th, so like 30 something days.
Okay. You're like happy about it. I'm happy that I'm the younger one. Like, I'll still take it.
Honestly, yeah, you know what? I hear about it all the time that I'm old now and stuff because I'm 24 and it's like, what? Like, it's
no,
we're getting
still your early 20s. I'm hanging on for as long as I can. I'm saying 24 is the end of your early 20s, 25, 26, 27, mid 20s, 28, 29, late 20s.
Yeah.
That's what I'm riding with. Nobody tell me that I'm wrong because I cannot spiral
you're right.
in my mid 20s. So please, we are in our early 20s. Anyways, that's a tangent that we can go down another day, but I was just thinking about it in my head. I know that we're very close in age. I just wasn't sure who was older. Anyways, we got more questions. Let's get to it. Are Sellers and Reno the only quarterbacks in the room currently that are returning next year? Jack is saying no.
So, okay. Yes, these are the two that should be back next year. Lenoris would be a redshirt sophomore in his third year. Reno presumably would be redshirting this year. I mean, he's played in one game so far, so 3 more to go. But I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll play probably in the Wofford game, I would have to guess. So those two will definitely be back. Robbie Ashford also has another year of eligibility. So that makes it that would make it 3 if he decides to come back. And then Bevel doesn't have another year of eligibility. And then I'm trying to think. Oh, and they have walk-on quarterback Jimmy Francis. So they have 4 quarterbacks that will be back next year as long as they decide to stay at South Carolina. And then they should also have recruits and all that stuff. So and transfer portal. So yeah, they'll have enough quarterbacks come back next year.
I want to go back to the Akron game here just for a minute, Jack. The worst part. The part that was really, really difficult to watch was obviously Rocket Sanders getting injured in that game. I was not there in person. You were there in person. Take us through what you saw and tell us about any updates that you have for those that don't know.
Yeah, so Rocket Sanders, trying to remember like when it was very early in the game, like maybe like the first or second series. He only had 1 carry in the game. And he, is limping off the field. He goes straight to the medical tent. I don't see him come out of there for maybe like 10 minutes or so. And I'm thinking like, oh gosh, like this must be pretty serious. The tent eventually comes down. He's sitting on like a bench or whatever, like the table there that's underneath the tent, and he's getting checked out by like one of the training staff members. And then he goes over to the one of the benches on the sideline where all the players sit, and he's just sitting there in his pads for like the entire first half. Eventually, as the first half comes to an end, he's walking off towards the locker room with a boot on his left foot. He comes back out. He's just in, street clothes essentially with his jersey on, and he obviously did not play the rest of the game after that first uh, drive or two of the game. That's it for him. And then after the game, Beamer did say that it's a bit of an ankle thing, which is pretty much just an ankle injury. Basically, it's not really as bad as uh, originally many would have thought when he originally went out, but it seems like there is I know we got a question here. What's the likelihood of Rocket being ready to go for Ole Miss? I wouldn't hate not to have him for a big game like Ole Miss. Yeah, totally. So on Sunday in the teleconference, Beamer was asked about it again. He essentially put it this way: everyone that did not play on Saturday against Akron, if Carolina did have a game this week, they would all be ready to go, presumably. Rocket would be the biggest one that would probably be a questionable and like a game time decision essentially for a game on Saturday. Luckily, they don't play on Saturday, so they'll have about another week and a half to get ready to go here for Ole Miss, and by then you would hope he's good to go. Um, so I mean, we'll have to see how it goes when we talk to Shane next Tuesday during Ole Miss week. We'll have a much better idea of where Rocket's at, but I can't really. I'm not going to give like a percentage on it because I just truthfully don't know. But from what it sounds like, it seems like they really avoided a bigger injury, and that's nothing major. Now, at the same time, Carolina, we have a question here: who's the best back not named Rocket Sanders? Well, I think you have a lot of options at running back right now besides Rocket, and I think you're pretty good in that situation. Garnet Yardbird says the same thing, that they have a deep running back room. You're right. Oscar Attaway had 2 touchdowns against Akron. Matthew Fuller got in and played well. Jawarn Howell played well. I know DJ Braswell didn't play, and I know people are thinking, oh, he's going to hit the portal and stuff like that. He actually, on Sunday during the teleconference, Shane had said he was one of the scout team offensive players of the week for his help in preparing the team for the Akron game. So he's still with the team and stuff, and he dressed out on Saturday. He just didn't play. And my thought process is he's probably just going to redshirt at this point. And Bradley Dunn got in there. So the point is they have good options at running back. I feel like the best option right now, I really liked what Jawarn Howell was doing, although realistically, Oscar Attaway is going to be the next man up after Rocket in any circumstance. So the point, I think they really have some good options at running back, and you really can't go wrong. But you would definitely love to have Rocket out there for this Ole Miss game because it's going to be a huge one. You're going to need him.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Jack. You want Rocket Sanders if you are South Carolina in that game, clearly, obviously, and you're hoping that he is ready to go next week. A question mark as of right now, but like you said, we will have more information on that as it comes, and you'll speak with Shane Beamer next Tuesday, where he should give some more clarity to that situation. I could see it being, though, still one of those things where Tuesday rolls around and we still don't have a definite answer on the situation. I think sometimes people think you're going to get to that press conference day and you're going to be like, yep. And sometimes it is that way. Sometimes he does say, and sometimes you don't know. Still.
And now we have the injury report in the SEC, and it's going to be an SEC game. So I just thought about that. I mean, there's a chance he brings it up during his press conference on Tuesday, but I guess he technically doesn't have to speak about it because there's an injury report. My guess is Rocket will probably be on that injury report, and he'll be listed as questionable, and that'll probably be the case every day leading up to the game. And because, I mean, at the same time, it's like the thought process is, why would you want to give away the fact that Rocket's going to be playing in such a big game? And that would only help Ole Miss. Instead, Ole Miss is going to have to prepare for all these different running backs and stuff that you saw in the Akron game. So I think if I had to predict what happens, it's probably going to be a case where he's listed as questionable on that injury report each day, and then on game day, it'll either be he's good to go and he's ready to play, or they're going to hold him out. But I would imagine with 2 weeks of rest and the fact that it's not a serious injury from the sound of it, he should. I would imagine he's good to go for that game.
Well, only time will tell, and we will see. But a good thing that South Carolina's bye week is coming when it is. Jack, we still have a lot more to talk about with South Carolina's season so far and with what is to come. But we're at about the halfway point in the show, which means it is time to shout out our next sponsor.
Yeah, let me get them up here. Our good friends over at Prize Picks, our newest sponsor for a few weeks now. So Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in all of North America. They're the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then, of course, watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks has quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types. It's what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. I've used Prize Picks for a while now. I really don't use it as much as I probably used to, which I guess maybe is a good thing. But at the same time, Prize Picks is great. It's a fantastic platform to use. Do you want to have a little fun, want to get in on the action? I highly recommend it. It's not just college football. It's MLB postseason's coming up. NFL's going on right now. Basketball's around the corner. Hockey, any sport you'll want to check out. It's most likely going to be on Prize Picks. Certainly will be. And like I said, it's a great platform to use. So just go to prizepicks.com or download the Prize Picks app and use the code on screen GC, which is Central, to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups. And we want to welcome once again Prize Picks to the GC Live family.
Jack, are you starting to get nervous about the MLB postseason?
Oh, God. I watched the Yankee game last night. It was awful. And then I watched I didn't watch because, it's preseason hockey. I could care less. And you'll get this, Kendall. The Islanders had a 4-1 lead with 6 minutes left to go. I'm checking my phone. I'm all right, they're going to win. No problem. Cool. Whatever. It's against the Rangers. Check back 20 minutes later. I'm already seeing the Yankees are losing. The Islanders lost 6-4. They gave up 5 goals in the final 6 minutes of the game. How is that possible? I know it's off topic, but I don't care. How is that possible? That is like South Carolina having a 28-7 lead in the fourth quarter, and they blow it. What? I don't get it. So anyway, it's just preseason, but
it's giving the Islanders game in the playoffs against the Canes last
night. It's giving me bad vibes, and I'm not a big fan. And then the Yankees had a chance to clinch the AL East last night, and of course couldn't. So now they got to try again today, and we'll see. But the postseason it's what's today's date? The 25th. It's 10 days away. It's gonna be wild.
I'm very excited. Love MLB postseason. We talked about it last week. October is by far the best month in the entire year when it comes to sports. You got all your sports rocking and rolling pretty much in October. So we are totally here for it. October for South Carolina, maybe not the most fun when you look at the schedule, but South Carolina has been known in October to really show up and show out. Before we get into everything else, we do have another question about Nick Harbor. We answer a question about Nick Harbor every week.
Oh yeah, it's Shane gets a question about Nick every week, so why shouldn't we? All right, let's take a look see here at his stats this season, because obviously he's only got so many limited catches this year. He's got 4 catches for 35 yards, no touchdowns. He does have a jet sweep under his belt already, so that's pretty good. Look, it's not as simple as him running a go route and have Lenoris or Robbie just chuck the ball downfield and he'll get it. It's not as simple as now proven as, okay, run the jet sweep like you do in college football 25 and he'll go down the end zone because he's so fast. I think Nick maybe got 1 yard on his jet sweep against Akron. And so, look, I think it comes down to the keys here. You got to create separation. That is critical in any route you're running. If you're not creating separation, you're not getting the ball probably. And if you do, it's going to get picked off potentially. You got to be able to catch the ball. That's another key. And I know that's something Nick has certainly struggled with. And we've seen it in games now where he's, kind of, bobbled the ball around while trying to corral it. And look, I thought he played a lot better against Akron. He did get the ball a few times. One of the catches got wiped off the board because of a holding call, and it probably would have brought his total for the game receiving yards wise up to 50 or more. So I thought he played well for the most part. Now you just got to continue to find ways to get him involved. But yeah, they're obviously going to cover him up a good bit because he's a big guy, and they know about him from the video game, obviously. So you got to take him out of the game, and that's a big, deep threat in that passing game. And then we got one other question here. Do you guys think we will win a football game in October? I'm gonna say it's gonna be a rough, not rough.
Yes, I do.
I think you're gonna win a game.
Win a game, yes.
Yes. Do I think you're doing better than that? No. I think you're probably best case scenario like 1-2 at the end of October, and you're feeling great going into the bye week because that would put you at what 4-3. So, I mean, look, it's not ideal, I guess, but I mean, South Carolina, you got to take baby steps here. You can't be going from 5-7 to 10-2 overnight. I think with them, just you got to, I think they're going to surprise someone, and who I think it will be. I think it's going to be Oklahoma. Honestly, I could see it.
I could see it, and people are going to call me crazy. I don't care.
But it's not. It's not.
I think. Well, yes, Oklahoma. I think that's the most realistic game for South Carolina to win when you look at the schedule for October. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I don't think that the Ole Miss game will.
Wow, Lord!
Come on.
No, you know what? I know.
I mean, let's think positively. Glass half full here. I get it. Ole Miss is a really, really good football team, but they're coming into Williams-Brice Stadium. They have not played a true road game this year. I'm sorry to Wake Forest. I'm so sorry. But that is not an environment that I would exactly call daunting.
No, I wouldn't either.
Ole Miss. So this is really their first true test on the road this season. Yes, it's Ole Miss. Yes, you have Jackson Dart. Yes, I think that team is extremely talented. They're the 6th ranked team in the country. But why not? It's October in Columbia, in South Carolina. Has done some crazy things in October at South Carolina. So I think they'll come away with one win. Who it will be, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's going to be the Alabama game.
No.
That is the least likely situation, but that's why you play the game. You never know. So, yeah, October is a really tough go. We've talked about that since we essentially saw the schedule for the first time. When you look at the schedule as a whole going forward, 6 out of South Carolina's final 8 games of the season are against ranked opponents as of this point in time. You're looking at Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, the 24th ranked team in the country. You got Vanderbilt, who almost beat Missouri. And then you have Missouri, the 11th ranked team in the country, followed by Wofford and Clemson. South Carolina, every year we are saying this. Such a tough schedule. So difficult for South Carolina. But every year they win a game that they are not supposed to win. And so you're looking at that schedule, you're like, all right, who is that going to be?
It's going to happen again this year because look at the schedule. It is it's kind of intimidating that month of October. The thing that worries me about the Ole Miss game, and I know Carolina fans aren't going to like this, so you might want to close your ears for a second, but I mean, look at the fact of what has happened this year. This feels like the year of the revenge tour for former Gamecocks, just annihilating South Carolina. Let's go back to March Madness in Pittsburgh. I had to watch Jermaine Coustenard live put up a 40-piece on South Carolina for Oregon. That was tough to see. And then you fast forward to Hoover in the SEC tournament, and just because it's South Carolina, former Gamecock shortstop Michael Braswell has a walk-off hit against South Carolina with LSU. So you hope Juice Wells doesn't go for like 200 yards in this game because it could be a long one if that's the case. However, I do feel like Carolina, I think they're due to get an upset at some point because, I mean, look, Ole Miss is going to be tough. Bama, I don't think it's going to happen. Oklahoma, I mean, they're coming off the Red River rivalry, and I think they got a lot of issues right there in Norman right now. So that's possible. And then, I mean, November, we talk about three ranked teams that month. I don't think it's as tough as it seems. Like A&M, A&M's all right. I mean, they're a much better team than I think a lot of people probably give them credit for. But, I mean, it's at home. I mean, I think Carolina can definitely beat them. Vanderbilt, got to be careful with them, but I think you can win that game. And then Missouri, like, I have not been impressed with Missouri. Maybe that'll change.
But Missouri has been the Achilles heel for South Carolina for as long as I can remember. And so that's a game that I look at every year, and I'm just chalking that up almost to an L because it's been so hard for South Carolina to beat Missouri. I'm not saying they're not beatable. I'm not saying they shouldn't have beat them in the past. There have definitely been situations where they should. But you look at Missouri, and they have always been such.
Oh, it's a thorn. It's literally South Carolina's kryptonite. It is the pain or the vein of their existence, honestly. And so I mean, look, Missouri's ranked number 11 right now. I mean, look, these rankings right now really don't mean all too much until the college football playoff rankings come out. But I think I don't think Missouri is all that, and I'm probably gonna eat my words now saying that. But I don't know. As of right now, as of September 25th, I know there's 2 months to go until this game. I don't see it. I think Carolina can definitely go out there and beat them. And then Clemson's getting going now. But again, they've been playing. I mean, they're going to play Stanford this weekend. I'm sure they're going to be blowing them out. They blew out a bad NC State team, and they blew out a bad App State team that lost to someone on Thursday. I can't remember who it was. But the point is, they have not beaten good teams. Until we see Clemson beat a good team, I think Carolina could honestly go out there and beat them. And it's the same case for the rest of those teams in November. So, yeah, the schedule's hard, but if they get through October at like 1 and 2, I think they can really run the table. And definitely, they're going to get to 6 wins, I think. But maybe a little bit more than that. We'll see. Maybe that 8-4 magic from 2022.
Hey, let's just have some fun here. We're rolling. It's bye week, so might as well just think into the future a little bit. If you had to predict a bowl for South Carolina right now, what are you thinking? And everybody else, let us know what you're thinking too. Obviously, way too early to be talking about this. We don't know if South Carolina will even become bowl eligible. We think they will, but if you had a guess. Okay, let's do 2. Let's do your realistic guess and your hope. Like, where would you want it to be?
Well, I've seen Vegas thrown around as the bowl destination
Don't send Jack to Vegas.
Now, honestly, like, I'm not even like seriously, I'm not even like the biggest gambler or anything. So, like, I mean, I'm pretty smart with my money, I would say. I don't know. I've never been like big into, like casino gambling or anything. It'd be fun, but I mean, I don't know. So I think there's better places to go. If I had to guess, I mean, what would I like? I don't know. Somewhere in Florida would be cool. Maybe like not the Outback Bowl, the ReliaQuest Bowl would be cool. I know. I've heard from you. I think like Colin and like others that the Gator Bowl experience was not fun. So I would probably stray away from the Gator Bowl. The Citrus Bowl would be cool because that's like the biggest like peak tier non-playoff bowl game I feel like you could go to as an SEC team. And it's in Orlando, and I feel like the weather's going to be good around that time of year. And I think the Citrus Bowl will be fun.
Yeah, Citrus Bowl would be my top pick if I were going. And I think that if it was the Citrus Bowl, I would have to go. Like,
totally.
Florida, it's awesome. It's fun. I don't know. Maybe they take the team to Disney for a day as part of
they better
experience. So I think that would be a super fun one. The Music City Bowl, which the Garnet Yardbird just said as well, that would be a top pick for me too. You can't do better than Nashville. It's a blast.
I'm so sick of Nashville. Like
why?
It was cool going to Broadway the first time, and then it's like I went back in March for the SEC basketball tournament. I was going to Broadway every night, and I'm like, holy, I am so like just I need to stop. I need to get out of these bars and stuff and just not
That's how
being.
you know that you need to expand your horizons because
I
people
I, I, I did.
don't realize
I went
there's a lot
outside
more
of
than
Broadway.
Broadway.
What's up?
Broadway is the spot. Like, obviously, it's Broadway. When you think about it from a tourist perspective, yes, you're going to Broadway. But Nashville has a lot of other great spots that aren't
Yeah.
Broadway.
No, I agree, and I did check some of that out during the tournament. But it's like my friends and stuff are like, "Oh, let's go to Broadway. Let's go to Broadway," and I'm like, "Oh my god, we're out here to like whatever time of the day," and it's like, man, like, ugh, just I gotta get out of here. Like by the end of it, because we're there for like 4 or 5 days, and it's like,
That's how
ugh.
you will feel about Las Vegas. Have you been to Vegas?
No, and honestly, like it'd be cool, but like that, I know that's a one and done.
2 or 3 days in Vegas, and you're like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I felt, at least. I know that there are different opinions, but
Oh, it's gonna.
I was in Vegas my senior year of college. This is a crazy story. So South
Let's hear
Carolina
it.
beat Tennessee, and it was at home. It was South Carolina's last game at home in 2022. We were seniors. I'm pretty sure I vlogged it. It's somewhere on Gamecock Central. I was crying. I was like so happy. It was the best day ever. It was a night game. So I get back at 1:00 in the morning. I wake up at 4:00 in the morning to drive to Charlotte to get on a 7:00 flight to Las Vegas. Stayed in Vegas for 3 days, came back, went to Clemson, South Carolina beat Clemson.
Gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So that's my story. That's how I'm always going to remember Vegas, sandwiched right in the middle of Tennessee and Clemson, and those huge wins for South Carolina during our senior year of college just a couple of years ago. But yeah, I think the Citrus Bowl would be great. I think anywhere in Florida, you're right, because when you're doing a game in Florida, you feel pretty good about the weather situation. You don't want to be freezing cold, especially us South Carolinians, because we don't like to be cold. At least I speak for myself on that one. But yeah, I think anywhere in Florida would be fun. Do I think that's how it's going to end up? Not necessarily. You got to see kind of where you end up and obviously what tier bowl game you are going to get based on how many wins that you have. But right now, sitting at 3-1, I think that's pretty good. And I think when we looked at it to this point in the season, that was your goal, right? So you're looking at the first 4 games, you're like, all right, we don't think necessarily South Carolina will beat LSU. They had a great game and they arguably could have easily won that game. But you're sitting at 3-1. You've beat Kentucky. I think that meets our expectations to where we thought this group would be at this point in the season. We thought maybe they could even be 2-2 when you think about the Kentucky game. Where we are at right now, Jack, based on what you thought at the start of the season, have they met your expectations?
Yeah, I think going back to my season predictions that you can go check out in Gamecock Central, I think I've predicted every game correct so far for this team. I had them beating, Old Dominion, Kentucky. Oh, yeah, clap. Thank you. Appreciate it. Golf clap. Yeah, snaps. All right. So I predicted every game right so far through the first month. So that's awesome. I mean, I don't know. I haven't gone 8-4 this year, which I thought was crazy, but like it honestly could happen. Like I could totally see it. They just gotta win the right games to do so. But yeah, they've met my expectations so far. I figured LSU was gonna be too tough of a game for them. And look, they should have won that game to be honest. The refs, the mistakes they made. I mean, look, there's a lot of reasons why they lost that game, but I mean, so far they really have been. I figured they were going to be better than last year. Just so many things went wrong last year. I thought the overall team, you have a lot more pieces on offense now. Your defense is healthier, and you're probably honestly better. So yeah, 3-1 sounds about right for this team.
Yeah, I think they're in a good spot right now. And I think this is kind of what I expected as well. Obviously, that Kentucky game was such a make or break moment. And you don't like to say that so early in the season. And Wes and I always say it, you don't like to use the term must win. But when you look at it holistically, yes, I think that game was a must win for South Carolina. They got it done. They came out strong the next week against LSU. It didn't go in their favor, but you'd obviously way rather have a game like you had against LSU than a blowout where you weren't even close and you weren't even in the same hemisphere. And you're like, okay, obviously we are not stacking up to this, type of team the way that we should. They did. You feel good about that. You beat Akron the way that you should beat a team like Akron. You roll into Ole Miss, and I feel like you are feeling good if you're South Carolina, especially with the bye week under your belt. Let's talk one more little time about the bye week. What do you think needs to be the focus for South Carolina outside of getting healthy, because that's clearly the thing, like resetting, getting healthy, taking the week to just mentally prepare. But what needs to be the focus this week, as you have an extra week, you don't play on Saturday, to really, really gear up for the Ole Miss game?
Well, getting healthy was going to be my choice.
Get away.
Yeah,
No longer a choice.
You strip me of my my options. I mean, getting better, I think would probably. I mean, it's so cliche. I just don't. I mean, I really don't know what else, honestly. Like, I mean, it's the bye week. I mean, today's the last day of practice before the players get off Thursday through Saturday. I think just. I don't even know, honestly, because getting healthy was going to be my choice. And I was so ready to be like, oh, getting healthy, like let Lenoris get some reps again. I think that's just probably the big thing is getting guys reps in practice and, maybe guys that wouldn't get reps otherwise because it's the bye week. I'm not sure. I think that's probably the thing is just, staying loose and, keeping the good vibes going because, hey, you're 3-1 right now. Could be a lot worse, could be better, but I think you're in a good spot, a happy medium, I guess you could say, to where it's like you still have a lot ahead of you to, get to where you want to go.
Well, in case you missed it, Jack will be spending his bye weekend at Clemson. So we're going to bring that up again. He will be there this weekend.
Oh, man.
Have some fun plans in store for your bye weekend. No need to stress this weekend. No South Carolina games. So
good.
Just watch some football, enjoy it, and have fun, everybody. Is there anything that you want to add, Jack?
What are you doing for your bye week?
Well, I am sideline reporting 2 soccer games on ESPN Plus this Thursday and Friday, so I'm very excited about that. And then I still haven't decided if I'm going to go to the Panthers-Bengals game on Sunday.
Ooh, go see Joe Shiesty?
TBD. No, I'm going to see Andy Dalton. Come on.
Oh, Andy Dalton. Oh, yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, I went to the Panthers' first game at home against the Chargers.
God.
And can I just say, okay, so the Chargers stayed here. I think I said this maybe last week. I don't remember. The Chargers stayed here in Charlotte for the entire week after they played Carolina because they were going to Pittsburgh to play on the road. So they didn't want to go back to LA and then come back to the East Coast. They just didn't want to do it. So anyways, I'm at the gym, and my gym is here in Uptown Charlotte. Walk to the gym every day. Chilling, running, whatever. I start to see all these guys walk in wearing the same outfits. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the LA Chargers. Like, why are they here in Charlotte, North Carolina at my random gym, which is at like the top of some building here in Charlotte? It happened 2 or 3 days last week where I'm just in the gym. LA Chargers come in. I did not see Justin Herbert, but I did see a good amount of their team just coming into my gym.
Oh my gosh, that is so. It makes sense though, and I was on TikTok yesterday or Twitter, whatever it was, and I saw another team do a similar thing. I think it was the Broncos. They were playing in Tampa, and they have a game somewhere on the East Coast, and so they went to West Virginia at the Greenbrier and stayed there for this entire week. And I don't know. I mean, it makes more sense than going all the way back to Colorado. I mean, if you're gonna have an East Coast game, so. I can see why the Chargers did something like that, but
I was just shocked. I'm just like chilling, and I'm like, the LA Chargers are here in my gym. That was not on my bingo card for this year. If you see Panthers players, you're like, okay, like I'm literally a 2-minute walk from Bank of America Stadium, so I see Panthers players all the time. But seeing the LA Chargers, it wasn't what I was expecting, but hey, it was a cool thing to say happened. So, anyways. Yeah, I may go to the Panthers-Bengals game this weekend.
Are you going to have a brown bag on your head or no?
I'm just going to go and watch the game. Like,
there you go.
Like, I'm not, like, one way or the other, really. Like, I'm from North Carolina. I'm from Charlotte. So, yeah, I'm rooting for the Panthers, but I'm not crazy about it. My family's from Indiana, so I actually grew up a Colts fan. Fun fact.
There you go.
My team that I've always supported. But I'm doing fantasy football for the first time this year. I feel so stressed every Thursday, Sunday, and Monday, and I won by 0.04 points this past week, thanks to Khalil Shakir. The Bengals defense.
Yeah, Khalil Shakir.
Points, Yes, shout out to the Buffalo Bills and Khalil Shakir.
He had a good game.
The Bengals defense got me negative points. So just for that, maybe I will be going all out and cheering for the Panthers on Sunday.
You definitely should. Definitely should. So yeah, it'll be a good game, hopefully. So
yes, we are way far down another conversation right now talking about the NFL. But hey, we got to get our football fix.
It's the bye week
this weekend. Absolutely. So we hope that you all get your football fix as well. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe. Have fun. We've got plenty more coming here on Gamecock Central all throughout the week. We're going to talk bye week. We're going to talk what's happened this season. We're going to talk more about the Ole Miss game. It's just not going to stop. So follow us at Gamecock Central on social medias. Be sure to visit GamecockCentral.com as well for all of the latest information. Follow Jack on X at Jack Veltri. I'm Smith Kendall with 2 underscores on X as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your Wednesday, an amazing rest of your week. This has been GC Live with Jack Veltri. I'm Kendall Smith. Thanks.